Non-emergency, how can I help you?
Tonight, a K2 investigation into the issue causing frustration and concern across Portland.
When I am at a call-taking position, I would say it's typically call to call to call.
How exhausting is that?
It's very challenging. It's a heavy weight that we carry.
What's being done is many find themselves waiting too long for help when they call 911.
This is K2 News at 6 on your side.
Good evening, everybody. When seconds matter, too many callers still find themselves waiting too long for help when they call 911. Tonight, a K2 investigation into the issue causing frustration and concern all across Portland.
Despite some progress in shortening wait times, our investigation found Portland still lags behind other comparable cities in how quickly 911 callers get through to a person on the other end. K2 investigator Wright Gasway is on your side, getting answers from the two men in charge of the agency. And you saw firsthand what's happening at the dispatch center.
I did. It's not uncommon to hear from people who have to wait several minutes to get through to a 911 call taker. I saw this for myself at the call center. We also saw dispatchers overwhelmed by the call volume.
911, what is the address of the emergency?
Non-emergency. Thank you so much for holding today. How may I help you?
Okay, tell me exactly what happened. Okay, good.
This is a normal day inside the Bureau of Emergency Communications 911 Center.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Call takers answering 911 calls from across Multnomah County, often with little time between them.
Non-emergency, how can I help you?
There was a gentleman behaving very erratically.
Lara Davis says 911 didn't get to her in time during a dangerous situation. She and her husband noticed someone vandalizing property on Northeast Sandy last summer. She says the person charged them when they told him to stop. Her husband ended up pepper spraying the guy.
It was sometime during this squabble that I called 911, and I was on hold for 8 to 10 minutes.
Was it frustrating? Was it scary? How would you describe it?
It gave me a lot of anxiety.
Davis says the man eventually left. She says she hung up before ever getting through to a dispatcher.
What's your first and last name? Okay, take a deep breath for me. Do you need an ambulance? I want you to watch him very closely.
Now think about what it's like for the dispatchers on the other end of the line.
So these incident numbers that you're seeing are actually all active.
Catherine M. is a senior dispatcher at the Bureau of Emergency Communications. Would you say the whole time you're logged in, are you answering calls the whole time?
When I am at a call-taking position, I would say it's typically call to call to call.
How exhausting is that?
It's very challenging. It's a heavy weight that we carry.
Catherine says dispatchers often hear the frustration from callers, and many times they share it with the very people calling them for help. How tough is it as a call taker when those calls do back up and you're not able to answer as quickly?
It is tough. It's something that we feel every time we see calls holding, every time we know that response is delayed because there's no one available to either take the call or to respond to the call.
K2 Investigate's got a trove of data in a records request to the Bureau of Emergency Communications. We looked at daily call logs from 2 random weeks in June and 2 weeks this spring. Let's start with last summer. From June 14th to June 28th, call takers answered just over 22,500 total calls. Each day, an average of 17%, nearly 1 in 5, went longer than 2 minutes without an answer. Fast forward to this spring. Between March 27th and April 9th, daily call logs showed the center answered roughly 20,700 total calls. 5% went longer than 2 minutes without an answer. That's an improvement, but still hundreds of callers waiting more than 2 minutes. If either of you wants to jump in, feel free. I sat down with BOEC Director Bob Kazi and the Commissioner in charge, Renee Gonzalez. They point to a stubbornly high call volume and a staffing shortage. When people are in emergencies and they dial 911, they do not want to hear a ringtone for 40 seconds. And frankly, they shouldn't have to either. When can people truly expect the wait times to come back down, continue to come down?
I don't know the answer to that question, and we will continue to invest in people and training. We will continue to look at what calls we can pull out of the system responsibly, but until call volume decreases to pre-pandemic levels, it's going to be a real uphill battle. Incentivizing overtime last year improved answering times.
Okay, and where are you now?
Now, Catherine says she and her fellow dispatchers need more people. They have been hiring. Just over 40 people were in some level of training at the end of March, but 26 of 136 positions are still vacant.
I look at an expectation that all of our positions will be filled by the end of the calendar year.
Filling positions is just the first step. New hires need about 18 months of training before they can answer 911 calls on their own.
What, Commissioner, are you doing specifically to recruit people to come work here in the city of Portland? What's the council doing to entice people to move here and do this line of work?
We're here to celebrate what they contribute. You know, 911 operators, dispatchers, call takers are the unsung heroes of our first responder system, and we have to tell their stories. We have to elevate it. The challenges we are in right now have brought attention to public safety, maybe in a healthy way for us to focus on smart investments going forward, but we've underinvested in first responders across our system over the last decade, and we're paying for some of that now.
Gonzalez and Kazi understand that community patience is wearing thin. Taxpayers like Lara Davis expect a system that works when they need help now.
I think some people really need to sit in a room and brainstorm and then actually put their ideas to work.
We mentioned that Portland is behind comparable cities. The annual report from Nashville's 911 Center says their average 911 answering time in 2022 was 8.6 seconds. In Minneapolis, the 2022 report shows the center answered 90% of calls on average last year within 20 seconds.
Any reason why those cities are handling it better?
The big thing appears to be staffing. If we look at Nashville, they handled 1.1 million calls last year. Portland was about 50,000 fewer. They have almost 60 more call takers than Portland, 190 they're authorized for compared to 136 here in Portland.
Let's talk about the call volume. Is there anything that help take the burden off these folks there at all, right?
Right now, it's really just 311. That's the non-emergency line that has been expanding in Multnomah County over the last couple of years, really. That's the non-emergency line. They're trying to get people to call because they say so many people are calling 911 for issues that aren't really an emergency, and that bogs down the line for people calling 911 in true emergencies.
Yeah, definitely need the help. No question about it. Good story. Thank you, Ray, very much.